Hello there, beautiful people. This Five of Pentacles reverse came up for me the other day in an equinox reading that I was doing, and this is a card of poverty on a physical sense. So this relates to the poverty material-wise and physical health-wise. This relates to low self-esteem, poor me mentality, victim mentality, and these are stories that most people have something of. We all judge ourselves in some ways. We all have a lack of self-worth in some way, and this card asks, especially when it's reversed, asks us to dive extra deep and to go a little bit deeper than normal and dig into places that the subconscious normally doesn't want to release or let us see. And so I've been doing a little bit of this and just throwing a bunch of questions to myself about this as well, just because in my process I always bump into lack of self-worth in some level, and illness stories as well. It's really rich to dive into your illness stories because it can reveal so many ways that your body is trying to communicate to you subconscious patterns that you're still holding on to. And so I've been diving into all of this, and one of a couple of things I'd like to share is one of the first things when it comes into lack of self-worth, for example, a lot of the time we feel like our self-worth is dependent upon some appreciation from the outside world, which is a wonderful thing to get, don't get me wrong. But if we depend upon the outer world for feeling good enough, then we are always going to be looking for approval. We're always going to be dependent upon a validation from somewhere on the outside. And I think the first key story to all self-worth interactions with your life, in your life, is to realize that it has to come from you, and you have to feel worthy inside of yourself. And another thing is the victim mentality, very similar in that nature, is that yes, it might look like there are lots of victims and abusive entities and stories and setups in the world that make it very difficult for us to break free from certain difficulties that we have and certain inhibitions that life seems to have placed upon us. But the biggest victim relationship that we have in our lives is the relationship to being the victim of our own mind, much more than something on the outside. And that something on the outside will only ever represent and reflect the way we are being, or the way we have been and still are, a victim to our own mentality. And this means that the programming that we've gained and learned to adapt and adopt over the years is crippling us in some way, and is crippling who we are, crippling our ability to feel great and good and abundant and healthy. And our own mentality and changing that, the first step comes from, hey, I'm in charge of this and I'm the one who can make this change. And the second step is all about the willingness to maybe shift and change some of your routines, some of your habits, some of your ways of being. Try something different. And it doesn't really matter how old you are, and it doesn't really matter how ingrained a routine is, but it is super important to change those routines, especially the ones that are very much linked to mental habits of unworthiness and mental habits of not feeling good enough about ourselves. And it can be something little, and then it can be something big. It doesn't really matter, but the change is always going to feel a little bit uncomfortable to begin with. And so we have to prepare ourselves for a little bit of discomfort. we have to push ourselves through that discomfort, and we have to really find the conviction in any changes that we can visualize, any changes that we want to make in our lives, and then make some small steps to allow that to happen, to encourage that to happen in our lives. And for me, I found that these small steps, and some big ones too, have been the key to feeling worthy inside of myself, the key to feeling good about myself, is whether I actually do take these steps or not, or whether I don't, and if I don't, I'll punish myself and I'll be the victim again to my own mentality, but my own self-judgment. But I catch myself and I'll go, hey, that's me falling back into that old pit again of not being good enough, and telling myself, yes, you're not good enough. Anyway, find the courage to take new steps, to try different things, to interact in different ways. Find some honesty to see all the changes that you can imagine in your life. Find some imagination that might inspire you to what a change might look like, and then you can visualize what you might have to do in order to get there. And have fun and stay in love with as many things and as many aspects of yourself as you can. Have a great day.